Hey guys, I want to make a video. So as you saw in one of my previous posts, I was able to go ahead and repair a bad voice coil on this WDX G1 from DB Drive. And so I got a couple of feedback from some folks saying, hey, what if we built it all with new parts? And we certainly can. And this is almost kind of the step of how all those folks making you guys custom subwoofers are building their subwoofers as well. So, you know, you end up, I'm gonna go ahead and take this apart. You're gonna end up always buying your motor depending on what voice coil you're getting it for and various measurements. And then you're gonna have a basket. So what I'm gonna do, instead of repairing the second one here that I have, which as you can see, I removed the damaged voice coil already, and the plan was to go ahead and replace a new voice coil in there. I'm gonna tear everything apart from the basket, give you a nice clean basket. So basically you have a basket and a motor, and what we'll do is get a brand new cone, brand new voice coil, brand new spider set, and just build it from scratch, and let's go from there. So I figured it'd be another data point for you guys, another informative video if you want to build your own subwoofers from scratch and see if it helps. So let's give it a shot. Why not? I love to do things like this, and having a subwoofer that's almost kind of built from scratch, because again, you can buy the motors already. You can buy various baskets depending on the size, whether you're gonna go 8, 10, 12, 15, gosh knows, there's 18s and 24s as well. And so it just gives you a lot of options. And so I'm gonna do that. All right, so let's go ahead and go through the process. So the first thing I'm gonna do is just cut all of this off, cut the cone off, cut the spider off, get it all cleaned up, take the necessary measurements, buy parts. As you guys know, I love to use lower to base as well as some other vendors, whether you wanna use Robot Underground, he's got plenty of parts. There's just a few different sites out there. You can go to Alibaba and find a lot of these parts and you know, really customize it to what you like. Different color stitching for the surround to the cone, different types of cones, paper, press, non-press. You can do fiberglass, you can do carbon fiber, so many different options. The only thing we're gonna be limited to is the voice coil, right? Because this is a motor that's made for a 3-inch diameter voice coil. So we'll use the same voice coil, but you also have options, right? You have options where if you want to use the same basket, you can use spacers to make the basket higher for a longer throw. If you want to get a much longer overall surround, so that way you have a little bit more excursion. But I'm going to keep it looking the same, and I'm going to try to optimize it maybe with slightly improved material and go from there. So the first step is just breaking it apart, and let's walk through it. Okay guys, so got the cone off, including the spiders. It's actually pretty cool. When I looked at the website, it had said a double layer spider, but what I'm seeing here, it's a triple layer. So that's interesting that they don't have that updated, but it is a triple layer spider. This is usually made out of Nomex pressed, or sometimes we use Teflon as well. So, but yeah, triple layer spider. You can see from the top portion here, the sewn in tensile leads for each of the dual voice coils, so that's in there. But got that all removed. Again, just cut the surround, cut everything. Since we're destroying it, then there's no point of salvaging it, so I usually won't do the additional steps that I do for other repairs. So here's the frame, a pretty nice frame that we've got going on, and they built it where they actually could have 2 different size spiders. So you can see there's an inner lip right on here, which is what this 12 was used for. And then there's an outer lip that's also drilled and tapped for a spider ring in case they wanted to go a larger diameter. So it does measure 8.5-inch outer diameter for the spider itself. So we'll look for that. So this looks like a, it's not a progressive, it is a progressive. So it's a progressive because it's got a bigger outer diameter on that portion there, and as it gets inner, the diameter of the weaving actually gets small. So that's referred to as progressive. If it's linear, it would be the same all throughout. So 3-layer progressive spiders what we're going to be looking for to replace. This look like a non-pressed paper cone. Again, you know, it's up to you what you want. You can change it to pressed paper cone, non-pressed paper cone, carbon, glass. So there's a lot of different variations, and we'll look at that. So yeah, next thing is just kind of getting the inner cleaned out here, the inner ring where the old spider was adhered to. And then you've got where the surround was also adhered to. That gets cleaned up. And once that's cleaned up, you're pretty much ready to drop in all the new pieces. I mean, it's a pretty easy, I guess you can say, process. It just costs a little bit more, right? Comparing it to repairing just a single voice coil, now I'm going to be getting a voice coil, new spiders, new cone, and using these parts. So it's still cheaper than buying this subwoofer brand new. It's still cheaper than asking someone to build you a custom subwoofer. It is a pretty good motor, especially with the 3-inch voice coil there. Pretty good basket as well. So this is cast aluminum, and you're still saving money, but it's obviously a little bit more expensive than repairing it versus, what I previously uploaded. So somewhere in the middle, but let's just continue with this process. Let's get all this cleaned up. Let's find all the right parts to replace the original parts with, and see how we want to maybe customize it, maybe either different colors or just different material, and go from there, and we'll walk through the build process. But here it is. Just cut everything out and move on to the next step. Okay guys, so did a little bit of cleaning. Just got most of the adhesive for the spider, where the spider landing is, and same for the surround. So got a lot of that cleaned up, and we'll do some final preparation before we're ready to glue everything on. But here you are. You've got your basically empty basket, and now we just need to go ahead, and what we're going to do is measure the full diameter from edge to edge, so that way we can match what spider size we're going to get. We already said we're going to need something anywhere from a 2-layer to 3-layer progressive spider, and we understand the voice coil is going to be a 3-inch voice coil, so we'll go ahead and pick a 3-inch voice coil, inner diameter opening. I did measure this already. It looks like to be about 8.5 outer diameter, so that should be easy. And the same thing for the cone. The cones are pretty standard. They're all usually pretty drop fit, but we'll go ahead and measure just to make sure which one I select that I like, and make sure it fits within this kind of standard profile here. But all right, we're gonna just progress through this and see how much we can get this done for, and look at the end product. So let's go on to the next step. I'm gonna get on various websites and start doing some shopping for those spiders, kind of look at the difference. Again, one important thing is obviously the cone and the spider are considered part of the soft parts, and those really do have an impact on the operation of the subwoofer, right? It's going to impact its resonance frequency and a lot of its TS parameters, or Thiel small parameters. So it will fluctuate depending on how heavy the coil is. Is it copper? Is it aluminum? Same thing for the spider. How stiff is it? Is it loose? Is it not? Is it going to play softer? Is it going to play harder, where you really have to apply a lot more power? It's more controlled. So a lot of variations here. Obviously, when you're, those folks that are in the community building subwoofers, they obviously have that skill set down, where they really know what to do on a regular basis. And they usually have some pretty good tools as well, like I forgot what it's, DATS. And that will measure your TS parameters to give you an idea. Do you need to add more weight to the cone to give it a lower frequency? Do you have to stiffen up the suspension a bit more? So it's gonna be a combination of those, but you know what? Given that this is just a simple, nice little rebuild from parts that we may have around because of blown subwoofers, let's give it a shot and see what we can do here. Here we go, guys. So made some progress. Last clip we left off where we kind of cleaned up the basket, getting it ready for the spider, getting it ready for the surround. Next thing was to be able to do some research and figure out what parts we wanted. So here's some parts I selected for this build. So we're staying with the same coil that we did with the previous repair of this WDX G1. So that's the 140-925 3-inch voice coil. I believe this is 4-layer all copper, which is great. I've already got it marked to where it needs to meet the spider. That makes it a lot easier. Here we went with a triple pack spider with the, I guess you can call them stitched or adhered to flat tinsel leads, which is great. So again, very equivalent. In fact, these are slightly beefier than what was on the old one. So, and that fits pretty good in this opening here. So we're good there. So know the voice coil, know that. This is referred to as the triple joint ring. It's optional. A lot of people don't use it. I figured it's cheap enough. Let's go ahead and use just some additional support. And this would basically go over the voice coil here. And once it goes over the voice coil, you slide it down. Then you put the spider on here. It just provides a little bit more surface area and support for the spider when you use adhesives. And here we have the cone. So I kind of try to be consistent with the previous cone. So it's non-press, Culp, paper cone, which I like. Again, consistent. You could have gone all carbon, all glass, all whatever you want. There's so many different options. I try to do some of the higher roll surround on here too, since these G1s, like I said, pretty good subwoofers. They got some pretty good excursion. They get down 1,000 watts RMS is obviously a respectable power level. And so yeah, okay. And then you saw this in my last video. This is the inner dust cap, optional, completely up to you if you want to use it or not. Some people do, some people don't. I haven't ever seen data to prove that it does anything that's different than a traditional dust cap. So all good. Let's see. So yeah, here we go. So I guess the next step is, since I've got this marked, I am gonna go ahead, get the triple ring on here, get the spider on here, make sure it's ready to go. So that will be the first part assembly. So let's make it quick and sweet and go from there. All right, here we go. So got the spider adhered to the voice coil, epoxied it from both bottom and below. As you can see, here's the support ring. Again, not necessary, just does give it a little bit more oomph, so that way if the spider pack ever slides down, it's got a little bit more resistance and something to go through. So, and it shouldn't with all that epoxy and glue here. So got it, again, per the measurement I took, and got it all lined up. I got the spider adhered, got the ring in there, epoxied from the bottom and the top. And now that we've got the voice coil aligned with the spider lead tinsels, we can go ahead and slide the cone on there, get the cone properly aligned, and go from there. Let's do the next step. Let's get the cone on top of this assembly. Next step, moving on. So got the cone on, and then align the cone with where there's a cutout for all of the tinsel leads to come through, so that way you're not messing with the integrity of the inner diameter of the cone. So it's got 4 little tiny slots on both sides, got the tinsel leads wrapped around the coil endings, and now we're gonna go ahead and solder it, get that done. And once it's done, we're gonna shim it before we add any epoxy, just to kind of center it before, so we're gonna put epoxy on here to hold it together and keep the integrity, epoxy on the bottom. But before we adhere the actual spider to the spider holding and the surround to the outer edge, we're gonna make sure it's shimmed, equally spaced, so that way it operates like it's supposed to and it doesn't rub. So let's keep moving quickly and get this through. Okay, we've got the epoxy on. So after we soldered it, we went ahead and epoxied it. And you can use CA glue, use 5-minute epoxy, very strong adhesive, as this is one of the more critical junctions, just to make sure that you're holding the cone to the coil as it's going up and down, and the same thing below where the coil meets the spider as well. So we're gonna let this dry off, and then we'll flip it over, add a little bit more enforcement for adhesive. We will clip these tinsel leads, and then we'll move on to the step where we adhere the spider over to the frame, and then go from there into adhering the surround over to the frame. All right, let's keep going. Okay guys, got it all put together. Here we go. So we've got the coil, got the spider, got the cone, got everything soldered in, got it all epoxied in from the top, got it epoxied in from the bottom, both on the bottom of the cone, top of the spider, bottom of the spider with the supporting ring. Now it's ready to drop in. So cleaned out my gap, and that's the between the center yoke as well as the overall motor. So that's all cleaned up. You can see the ring has been kind of, I used an abrasive to clean it off, which is great. And now we're ready to go ahead and install the spider. When we do that, we'll make sure we have spacers in between the coil and the yoke, so that way we can center it Once we get that all aligned, we'll go ahead and solder the tinsel leads to the terminals. And then the final step is we'll go ahead and do the surround. So let's keep moving. Here we go, guys. So got it all put together. Got the adhesive put on the spider over to the spider landing, using clamps to hold it down. Always helpful because it's one of the most high stress points there as well. So you want to make sure that doesn't come apart on you later on. I went ahead and took the terminals and soldered onto the tinsel leads. Got some heat shrink here. I just got to take my heat shrink gun or heat gun to it, and it will taper down to it or form to it. So that's nice. You don't want them to short out. So, and now that we've got the spider down, we're gonna let it cure, and then we'll go back and do the surround. So again, pretty simple, pretty quick. Got my spacings in between the inner of the coil and outer of the yoke. I want to make sure it doesn't rub. So other than that, this is moving pretty quick. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this and also learning. Just again, the whole point is, hey, if you've got a damaged subwoofer, can you repair it by just getting a coil and using existing parts? Or the secondary method that we're trying here on the same subwoofer is rip it all apart, get all new parts, new soft parts, new coil, and go from there. Again, more options. It's going to cost you a little bit more, but it's certainly cheaper than getting a new subwoofer. So that way you don't have to go and buy a brand new one. You can spend a little bit less and also customize it to your needs, right? As we mentioned, so the cone, you can go for carbon, you can go for different colors, different stitching, different thickness of surround. You could have even gone to a higher coil. Given that the basket and the motor, you could have put a spacing in between here and leverage this. So all those subwoofer guys that make custom subwoofers on there obviously have endless possibilities of how they build subwoofers and what they can do to them and customize them. So, but this is just to show you that you can do it as well. It's not rocket science. It just takes a little bit of patience and watching videos like this. So enjoy. Let's get the next step going, and we definitely want to get this on the bench and run some power through it. All right, guys, before I finish up, got the surround on here. Again, clamp it. Waiting for the spider to also adhere, clamp it. And now we're just gonna wait. Clip the tips a little bit, and then we'll also decide on which dust cap we want to go on, and that's part of the customization. So just another step, and we're almost there. So once this all dries off, we'll put it on the bench, run some power through it. Go. All right, guys, so got the epoxy cured, got all the adhesive cured, got the surround cured, spider cured, got the frame ring finally attached. Can't speak this morning. Got the heat shrunk adhered to the tinsel lead, so that's all nice and done. It is basically all ready to go, guys, for some bench testing. So the only final part, as we talked about, is the dust cap. I'm gonna probably choose not to do the inner dust cap. Again, I don't see value added. I have a couple of them, but yeah, oh well. You put it on there, you don't put it on there, it doesn't really matter. But the cool part is just determine what dust cap we want on there. Maybe you guys can put in the comments what you would like to see. I've got a few different ones. I've got carbon fiber. I've got ones with the Magneto logo on there. I've got the old DB drive ones as well. So many different options, different colors too. So this is another unique part where you can customize the subwoofer. But here it is, it's all ready to go. We got it all wired up in parallel right now. So since this is a dual 4 ohm and we got it in parallel, so it's reading a 2 ohm load here. and we're gonna run some power through it, just see how the extrusion goes, how it sounds and everything like that. And then the final step is we'll go ahead and add the dust cap, and put it in a box. I want to definitely get this in that box and see how it's tuned. So let's start with some power and let's see what it looks like. Oh, there we go, at 20 hertz. It's moving. Oh yeah. Excursion on this. I really like that. So just running a various few sweeps, different frequency sweeps across it. I think it ranges from 20 to like 60 hertz, and then we've got the Navy ship Thunder, which is rolling there, and then we've got the bomb drop, so we'll just kind of go through that. And we also want to stretch out the soft parts a little bit, so the AKA break-in period, which is going to require, you know, some time doing this, but this is pretty cool, guys. Got it all put together in a pretty expedited time frame, so can't really complain, and it's doing what it's supposed to do. Sounds like it's supposed to sound, and I'm excited about this. It's a beefy 3-inch coil, you know, respectable weight here. So let's see this bomb drop here. Another one, guys. So we got it built up pretty quick. Next step is let's get the dust cap on there, let's get it in the box. But overall, another successful. This is, I guess, what I'll call a quasi new build. Basically, we started with a used motor and a used frame and got all new parts and put it on there, which is something you can do with any of the subwoofers you've got lying around. So pretty cool. All right, let's go on to the next step. Here it is, folks. Finally done. All put together. Dust cap on. All the glue is finally cured, and just running it various sweeps and making sure it gets nice and warm. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. And now we can show that you can basically build a brand new subwoofer from an existing motor and a basket. So